Welcome to Lessons Learned. I'm Sherry, and today for your Wednesday video we are going to make a little wall hanging for our sewing rooms, and it will involve applique, selvages, an image of a sewing machine, and maybe something else along the way. We'll just have to see how this all evolves. But my main idea is to make a selvage background with a silhouette of a sewing machine on top of it. So that's my basic idea. I rarely come up with a very original pattern for anything. I usually take something that I've seen that has inspired me to make me come up with a design. So usually what I turn to is Pinterest, and the first search that I made was on Selvages, and I got some ideas on Selvages here. Just kind of looking through some of the images here, you can see, how you put your selvages down onto batting and sometimes with the backing as well, and just sew across like this, and then you can cut this out to be, whatever shape you want, or you can just leave it square like as your background. That's kind of what I was thinking about doing, but I wanted to jazz it up a little bit. I was thinking maybe I could kind of go on the diagonal here. So I kind of looked at it this way, and I've got plenty of long selvages to be able to do that. So I will be coming up with a overall size a little bit bigger than what I want it to end up to be, and sew my selvages on and then trim it down to the square or rectangle size that I need to be able to put my sewing machine motif onto, that it will be appliqued right on top of it. So then that sent me down another path of what can I do as far as a sewing machine applique, and I decided to start typing in sewing machine. This is not showing up very well, but I put in sewing machine applique template, and then that brought up a lot of options. All different kinds of sewing machines. Here's one. That's a template you can actually print and, size it the way you want it, print it, and then make it into an applique. Here's a very simple one, and I was kind of wanting to go for something simple that didn't have a whole lot of little tiny crevices and curves to it. This one's not too bad. So I thought maybe that would work. I could probably even draw that, freehand it, but this also is a printable sewing machine template from Muse Printables, if you're looking for something like that. But now that I have this pulled up, I can see that there's a lot of other templates that come up, or ideas for templates that are sewing machines. So there's an unending amount on here that you can. Here's one here. So I'm just trying to decide now how difficult I want to go with this. This is even more simple. This is from someone, it's called maybe Mirtilda out of Russia. Let's see. Oh, there's a cute thimble. Isn't that cute? But my idea for this came from my Monday quilt chat when I was looking at the art quilt for the week, and then realized that also this very week on Thursday is National Sewing Machine Day. So how appropriate that we make, in honor of the sewing machine, a little wall hanging for a sewing room. So I'll just take you along this little journey with me here, getting this project done, and coming up with some cool ideas to use what I have to make one. Alright, so after a lot of looking around, I decided on this one because it was kind of cute and old-fashioned. I did modify it a little bit. I didn't want the extra detail of the spool holder and the little handle here on the wheel. So, and I didn't put the needle either. I could always add that later with some embroidery, but honestly, I don't think it's going to show up on my selvage background. So I took some graph paper and I sketched this out. It's not exactly to the same scale, but I think I like mine just as well or better, and even without those little details. So I just took my graph paper, which kind of guided me on, where to stop and start as far as getting that bottom base straight. And then also the distances between the bottom area and the top area. I just kind of mimicked what they did there. So this is what I'm going to do. So I'm going to make looks like my outer end might be a little too long. It's not quite in scale, but you know what? I think I like it. I think I'll leave it alone. I think I'll just leave it like that because you look at that, what do you see? A sewing machine. Let's just leave it. So I'm going to use this as my applique pattern for my sewing machine. So now what I need to do is get busy on my selvages and get those on some fabric and some batting and get those ready for the background. Now we're going to go over some of the supplies that we need. I went inside and made a copy of this, and I also labeled it as a free applique pattern. So I'm going to try to get this in a PDF form for you so that you can print it out. It will print out nicely on an 8.5 by 11 sheet of paper, or if you have some way to enlarge it and print it, you can certainly do that too. This is just regular graph paper, which is 8.5 by 11. So some of the things we're going to need, of course, are selvages, and I have over in an abundance. I also discovered I had quite a large piece already stitched. It's just stitched down directly onto just some white broadcloth or something. White quilting cotton, whatever. I could have used that, but I want mine on the diagonal, so I'll save this for another project. And this is something that I do when I want to do some mindless sewing. I get my selvages out and stitch these down onto some plain fabric, and then I have this nice selvage fabric to use when I want to make something out of it. So I'm not going to use it for this project though. I'll save it for another one. But I have a lot of other selvages here that I can choose from for my diagonal patterned wall hanging that I'm going to do. So I have my pattern. I have a piece of leftover quilt backing. I think this will be nice because it'll hide all the stitches that I'll be doing, putting the selvages on and also doing the applique. And besides, it's a wild print, and it'll cover all of that, but it is the backing of a wall hanging, so it doesn't really matter what you use for that. I starched this on the front, on the right side, and so I'll be laying that on here. And I kind of went with an oblong rectangular shape. I was going to do a square one, but I decided that my pattern would look best on something rectangular. It's slightly rectangular. Probably a fat quarter would work for this, and like an 18 by 22 piece would be good, and then you would eventually be trimming it down some to finish it off with binding and all of that. So I'm going to take this outdoors. This is just a very, very lightweight polyester craft batting. It's perfect for wall hangings because it's less weight, but you can use any of your batting scraps that you have and even connect them if you just have small pieces and come up with a big enough size to get your sewing machine applique on there. So I'm going to go spray this with 505 temporary adhesive so that this will stay in place as I'm putting on my selvages. So I'm just going to put my sticky side down and press that in place, and I might even take it over to the iron and press it a little bit just to make sure that it dries in the right place. I pressed on this side and everything is staying in place. So I can go ahead and manhandle this as I put my selvages on. So now I need to pick out my selvages. I'll probably have to press them. And some of them are thinner than others, and I want to be able to have some different sizes in there. A lot of this colored part will disappear as I sew them on together. But basically all we're going to do, and I will be using some thicker ones too. Let me find one here so I can show you. This one here, I just trimmed this off of a quilt batting, or a quilt backing. So, you know, quite a bit of my colored part will show on that one. So I'm just going to start up in the upper corner, probably with some smaller ones. And I will stitch one down close to the edge and then just keep well, actually I'll probably be doing it this way. If I have my selvage, actually the printed part on this side, I'll have to go this way, and then I'll put my next one down like this and just catch the edge of the selvage. And don't worry about the frayed edge right along the edge, it will not come out. So as you sew just above that, you'll have all of this room up here to lay another one. Let's see what else I might have here. Maybe here. And that way I'll be able to allow more of this print to show. This one will have less. So you kind of get the idea. We've done this before. But I love these little edges. This one here has bees on it. So you want to make sure you get the part of your selvage that will highlight some of that. And I'm not really paying a whole lot of attention, making sure that it's exactly, you know, straight. You should aim for straight, but don't worry about going corner to corner. If you have a perfect square, you'll be able to go perfectly corner to corner. Mine will be kind of off a little bit. It'll be more like this probably. So there's no rules. Just kind of try to keep them straight as you're putting them on, and following that lower edge of your selvage should make it very easy. Just follow right above there. You can use a long stitch if you want, like a 3.5 or a 4, just as if you were doing some stitching or basting on a quilt. And don't worry about it too much. It's not going to get a lot of use. You don't need to have, you know, really tiny stitches to make this stay together. It will all stay together, and it is a tiny project, so no problem there. So I'm going to go ahead and do this fun part. It's going to take some time, and I may set the camera over there at the sewing machine so you can see what I'm doing. Now you want to make sure that when you're sewing these on and you get to that end side and you're going at an angle like that, you don't want to trim off straight. You want to trim off at your angle and leave a little extra. That way your selvage will reach from end to end and you won't have any breaks in your selvages. That would not be good. Okay, almost to the end. I've just got a couple more to do here just to finish up this corner. Got a little Tula Pink curiouser and curiouser, and I'm trying to get those words in the frame there, in the background. That Cheshire Cat. I'll show you if you haven't seen Tulip Pink or you don't know what I'm talking about. There it is, Curiouser and Curiouser by Tulip Pink, and look at those. I think they're called Cheshire Cats. And I have one little corner, so you want to make sure you get even the last little corner there. Even if it gets trimmed off, I think I'm going to need it there. And there's something on here that says Little House. I'll see if I can get that in there. I might go ahead and cut it so I can make sure it gets in there. Last one. Alright, there it is. Little House. Looks like my batting is going to be about right here where I'm going to be trimming, so I'll get some of those words. I might not get the entire Curiouser, but you will be able to read it. It doesn't really matter. It's just a fun little game I play as I do these. But you know, you do want to kind of choose the colorful parts and the words on the Selvages to get the effect that you need. So let's go over to the cutting table and trim this up and see where we go from there. Okay, you see what I have here? All of my backing is covered with some nice quilting. See all of that? Now my lines aren't, you know, the same spacing in between because all your Selvages are different widths depending on how you saved them. Some are narrow, some are wider, and therefore your quilting gets interesting on the back. But it's nice and straight because we've been following these nice and straight Selvages. So all I have to do is turn this over and just trim it off to my backing size, which I had already measured. And you can save these if you like crumbs, to do things with crumbs. I don't do a lot with crumbs. I'll probably just pitch those or put those into my crumb basket over there and sell those on eBay. Because people do want stuff like that. People do. Okay, there it is. And I could take that over to the ironing board and starch that and make it nice and flat where there's no wrinkles whatsoever. I might do that, but I won't show you me doing that. But now it's time to pick something out for our applique. So I could just do a plain color. Plain black would be nice, or any dark color that you wanted to use that coordinates with your room. And then if you want some other appliques on of different items, you'll have room for that. Just make yours the size that you want to make according to how big your sewing machine silhouette is going to be on top of there. So I think I'll go pull some choices and see how I feel about them. Well, it turns out I have way too many choices. The first thing I did was went and got my black and white bin to see what was in there. And I did find some desirable things. I found, let's see, this piece here, which, you know, would be kind of a classy looking sewing machine with all the elegant roses on it. That could be a choice. A little bit on the busy side. I don't know. I like it. I like the idea. And then I have this, which has all of that swirly stuff on it that sewing machines, older sewing machines have. There again, I think it's a little on the too busy side with what's going on back here. I went in the floral bin and I found this, which is fun. It kind of has a novelty look to it, which I'm not drawn to. It would make a really cute one, but I don't know if I'm up for cute on this, but that would work really good. So that's an option if you have something like that you want to try. And then I have this dream of owning a mint green, aqua-ish, more on the mint green side, featherweight. That's my dream. If I had my choice on featherweight colors, which you can get them in all kinds of colors now, restored, I would get that color because that is one of the original colors that they had. They had black and white and some different colors, one of which was green. I'm not sure what all they came in, but I do know that there was an original green one, and it was kind of like this from what I remember that I've seen. And so that is an option. And then I thought, well, what if I played it up, fund it up, fund, F-U-N-N-E-D, and I did that same color but in a print, kind of a subtle print, and made it a little country-ish, which country-ish is not my gig much anymore either. It was at one time, but I'm not as much into that. So, will it be just plain black, just as a silhouette, or will I use my dream featherweight color? You'll find out in just a minute. Several things here I want to show you. I'll get this rough edge off so you don't get confused by that. This is a product called Heat and Bond Light Sewable Iron-On Adhesive. And I have to get that on the back of my sewing machine motif. So I'm going to make a piece that's ample enough here to fit on the back of this. But first, I need to trace this on. And so I'm going to trace it using my Caterpillar Glow and be able to see where it is, and then be able to trace that on there by hand with a pencil, and then put my Heat and Bond light on the back of that, peel this off, and then I'll have an adhesive piece of fabric that consists of my sewing machine once I cut it out. So first step is to put your, you can do this on a window too, put your pattern down, then your fabric, and trace that. There we go. So I can turn this off. Keep your template for another time. And then now we're going to cut off enough of our Heat and Bond light to adhere to the back of this. I just go right inside my extra fabric to make sure that it doesn't go beyond the fabric. and stick to something it shouldn't stick to, like your ironing board. So now I have that back there. See, it's within the bounds of my fabric, just barely. I'm not wasting too much. And so this can go to the side. And if you have a bolt of it, you actually get instructions every time you unroll some. If you get it by the package, you'll have instructions as well on how this goes. So there's instructions there you can follow, but I'm going to go over to my iron and press this on first, and then I'll come back here and show you how to peel that off, but we won't be peeling it off until we cut out our figure here of our sewing machine. So let me go do that, and I'll be right back. Alright, there we go. I've got it ironed on. This is still paper here. So my adhesive is underneath there, and I want to be able to peel this off, leaving the adhesive on the back side. So I test it over on an area that I'm not going to use. I just kind of make sure that it's there. It's not still sticking to the paper, it's on the fabric. Once I see that that's the case, then I'll go ahead and cut this out. I'm using these Karen K. Buckley scissors. They are the best for this. Okay, and you could save these too for other projects if you want. I might actually use some of these and some of this and do something with on this project. I'm not sure yet. Here is our little sewing machine. Isn't it cute? So let's see how it looks on here. There we go. Very cute. There is something I would like to do to this before I peel off my paper and adhere it to this. And I think I want to do a little stitching on it. A little black stitching, at least along the bottom here. Just kind of as a little accent. You know how the old sewing machines had a lot of gold curly motifs on it, or trims on it. I think this one would look good with a black something right here. So I'm going to go look at the stitches on my sewing machine and maybe put some black thread in. I don't have any gold. I could use gold, but I don't believe the mint green one had gold. I think it had black accents on it. So I'll go check that out and get back with you. Alright, so I'll put a few little things on there just to kind of make it look not just a silhouette, but rather you're looking at an actual machine. And once this is appliqued down all the way around with a satin stitch, I think it'll look nicely placed there in the center. So I left the paper on, and as I was sewing, I was thinking, should I have left that paper on or should I have taken that off before I did those stitches? I'm having anxiety about whether or not all of this paper is going to come off, or am I going to be picking it out between those stitches, and I think I'm going to be picking. So here is how it comes off, like I was showing you earlier, and you've got your nice shiny glue side there. Let's see what happens with this. It's not tearing up my stitches, but it's not coming out from between either. However, that may be okay, because even if I left some of the paper in there, it's going to be adhered on all sides, all edges. So let me go ahead and work on this, and then I will get this ironed on our background here. Alright, it wasn't too bad at all. There is some paper left in there. I did pick some out, but I didn't want to put a lot of pressure on these stitches, so I think that's going to be fine to leave that there and a little bit right here, because there's plenty of adhesive to get this to stick. So what I want to do now is I want to get it perfectly centered. You don't have to perfectly center it. You can, on purpose, do something like this just for fun, or you could put it to one side and put some other embellishments here. I prefer, I think, to just go ahead and line it right up in the center. So I'm going to actually take my ruler and see where I'm at with this. So that's 4 3/4. 4 3/4. Wow. And then this is 5, and this is 4 7/8. So just a smidgen. How did I do that? I have a pretty good eye for center, I guess. So that's where it's going to be. So I'm going to, I could put some pins in this. I have some applique pins, but being that it's small, I'm just going to take a risk and go right on over to the iron. Okay, so you really want to be conscientious about your pressing on this. I would hold my iron for 5 seconds in each area on it. And this heat and bond is really for the purpose of getting things positioned so that you can applique. So it's not a permanent solution. You're not done. You have to put something around the edges here. And I will either do some sort of blanket stitch or satin stitch around this. I'm not that good at satin stitch. I'm pretty good at the blanket stitch, and I do that on the sewing machine. So I'm going to work on this for a while and get that sewn down. So this turned out pretty good. I'm not the greatest at turning those corners on a blanket stitch or a satin stitch. Worse on a satin stitch, I think. And then on the back, because of my busy back, you can barely see that I sewed that sewing machine on there. Doesn't matter. It's a wall hanging. So, does it need anything else? Does it need anything else? Does it need a little something right here? Maybe? More stuff here? I don't think I want to load it up with a bunch of stuff, but I do like the idea of something right here. And I think I may make one little flower to go there. So let me see what I can figure out for that. Check this out. I can put my heat and bond on the back of this piece of scrap fabric and cut that motif out and put on here. And I'll have several of them. So, the creative juices are flowing now. Let me get busy on this. I have my heat and bond light on the back, and I'm going to go ahead and peel this complete thing off, because if I go ahead and cut it out with the paper on it, it's going to be hard for me to get those little edges started. So I'm just going to cut a few of these out and see where it goes as far as placing these on the sewing machine or other places on this wall hanging. I'll cut a couple different colors out and see which one I want on the sewing machine, and then I'll go from there with the rest of it. Okay, so I'm not going to put that many on there, at least not directly on the sewing machine, but you can kind of see what kind of options you create for yourself when you use this Heat and Bond light and cut out some of these things in the fabric. I don't know. I'm not sure what's going to happen here, but I'm excited. I kind of like that one. I don't know if I need more than one on there. It's looking very vintagey, which I like. I don't know. I just don't know if I want all of that on there or not. And I don't think that I want to add any more around here either. I could, but I don't know. I don't have full circles on those, and that might just be too much to put them on the outside. And I need to eliminate, I have, let's see, how many do I have here? I have, I like to have an odd number. I have this one here that's got 2 flat sides. I thought it would look good right there, possibly. Okay, I'm just going to have to do something, and you'll see it in a moment. I just went with 1, and I had a happy accident. Can you see what I did around that when I put the blanket stitch on? I did it inside out. The solid line is supposed to be on the outside, but you know what that did? It made it look like a dial, like one of the buttons, one of the dials on the sewing machine. So, how about that? All right, I think I'm going to leave it at that. I'm just afraid I was about to get a little tacky with it. So I'm just going to leave those off. I'll use those for some other project. And now all we have to do is pick out something for the binding. All right, here it is, all done. I used some sort of quasi flange binding. I haven't done flange binding, hence I did not include that in this project as a tutorial part of the video, but I think the green and the black together makes a good combination that kind of ties in the sewing machine. So I'm going to get some better pictures for you here to finish out this video, and maybe you would like to make this for National Sewing Machine Day on June the 16th of this week. So I will see you soon for another video. 3 videos a week. Hit the thumbs up on this video if you enjoyed it, and subscribe if you see the word subscribe anywhere on your screen, and hit the black bell for notifications to see more videos like this. And I hope you make one of these. Alright, we'll see you soon. Bye.
All I